Yo, what is up, people? It's your boy Wes, and I'm joined here with my guy JB.
What's going on, man?
Yeah,
What's going
man.
on?
This is I Have Anxiety. Thanks for asking.
Thank you.
Our first ever show.
Second.
Well, our first ever show, like us doing like an actual co-host like this, like you know what I mean, like talking type stuff.
Yeah, set up for success.
Facts.
Sorry, I forgot to delabel.
Nah, keep that in.
Delabel.
Keep that in. Keep that in.
You
That's
know what
raw.
I mean?
That's raw. No, this is our like first time like actually doing a co-host type thing.
Yeah.
Like the first show was just like questions, which is great. If you have not seen it, go check out the first episode of I Have Anxiety. Thanks for asking.
Should be out now on what platforms?
Everywhere you get podcasts. So that's on Spotify, on Apple Music. I mean, all the stuff. Apple Podcasts, sorry.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
You know, I've been hearing some feedback from even some of my friends. They're a little bit excited about this. They're excited about the podcast, man.
Dude, I'm like a little bit anxious. Only because like for so long I've been on other people's shows, but like this is our show. So it's like, well, what's going to be different? And people are going to receive whatever we talk about on these microphones. And hopefully it's value.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
you know.
I feel you. It's definitely a little bit nerve-wracking.
How you
This
feeling?
is nerve-wracking. Nervous, man. I'm nervous, but in a good way because this is exciting. And now I think we've decided. I might drop it here, but I think we're trying to get 20 episodes, something
20
like that.
episodes. That's a goal. 20
That's a
episodes
goal of ours?
for the first season.
For the first season.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for all of that.
I know
You know?
it's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be a lot, but we're gonna do it. We're committing to it, and we're going to go all in on it. Obviously, give ourselves grace while we're doing it. But bro, I'm excited.
And obviously, if you're a fan of the podcast, please tell us what you want us to talk about. You know, what would help you, what you want to hear.
Yes,
And maybe some encouragement to help us get to that 20 episode goal.
yes.
You know?
Mission 20 episodes starts now.
And so with that, let's bring it on in here. What are we talking about today? What's gonna be on the plate today, Wes?
Dude, we're recapping the first week of tour. So to take a step back, for those who don't know, Evie and I have been on tour, and we were in Massachusetts. And on this episode, I want to just like take a recap of how it all went. Dude, we saw some wild things. So we met so many cool students. We met so many cool teachers. But on this episode, I just wanted to like hold space to just recap what that was like, and even give people behind the curtain view of what you and I see, but maybe they don't see. You know what I mean?
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. So let's hop into it.
Let's hop into it. Yeah. So basically, I took a record of all of the questions, or most of the questions that students have asked me in the first week. And I want to start maybe going through some of those questions and then breaking down of like the behind the scenes of like how have our mental health's been during the whole first week of tour.
Okay.
And then even taking a step back, even bigger than that, is like what's next
All right.
for a tour.
Well, real quick though, can you tell us where you went? Where we went actually?
Bro, we went, I feel like all over the place. We started off in North Attleboro High School. Shout out to North Attleboro. Then we went to Concord Carlisle High School. Then we went to this vocational regional tech high school called Southeastern Vocational Regional Tech High School in southeastern Massachusetts. And then I flew to Nebraska, spoke at 4 different schools there, and it's been wild. And now here we are back to have this recap, you know? So it's been one heck of a wild ride. And now being back here, I feel refreshed, but there was a lot of feelings that came up on tour, bro, that even you probably couldn't see through the camera.
And yeah, so tell me about that.
Yeah.
Tell me about that, because I know I got a lot of emotions that I saw from you, and I'm hopefully gonna get the chance to share a little bit about that too. But yeah, tell me about it. Tell us about it. You know, we want to hear.
Dude, it was surreal. And for the viewers back at home who are watching this, like JB, he's the head of media, and he's like my co-host, but we're actually making a whole documentary. And how it is, like, this is the first time I've ever had someone with me on the road. Like, for the long time, it's been myself. So that added not a layer of stress, but I was like, yo, like, what's JB gonna think about me on stage? And are we gonna have the right angles? Like, that was going through my mind the whole time. And we had to show up like an hour ahead of schedule to set up stuff. And I was like, how are the students gonna, like, my anxiety was going all different places. But then we get to these schools. I feel anxious. And I don't know if you remember, but at Concord, so this is the second day, or the third, there's Thursday. So the third day of tour. I'm speaking, and before I actually go on stage, I'm backstage, and you're with backstage with the camera with me, and I have my headphones on, y'all, and I'm pacing back and forth doing my pregame ritual, and I start crying. Like, I start just crying, and it was a mixture of like anxiety and gratitude, which sounds so backwards, but I felt so grateful to be in that position. At the same time, I felt so anxious because being at that school was such a full circle moment. Like, my fiance, Katie, used to teach in that school system. My cousin was in the audience. My dad went to that school. Like, there were so many different things going on. On top of that, I'm trying to plan logistics for the next leg of tour. Like, there was so much in my mind. But then the gratitude came in of like, 5 years ago, this was once a dream, you know? And I know I said that in the last episode, but like, that moment, it hit me. Like, there are kids here, at least one kid, who could probably relate to what we're doing, what we're talking about. And that's why I started crying. And you caught it all on camera.
That I did. That I did with the bright light. I colored it. It looks awesome. Coming to hopefully a theater near you, 2026.
Yes.
But
yes.
Yeah, no, that moment was incredible to see.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel lucky in a way to have this opportunity to capture those moments and to be able to one day hopefully share them, because catching you in your vulnerability like that is almost why we're doing all of this.
Yeah.
You know, is so we can be real and keep the conversation going, because it's like you talk about it on stage, but there's also the side of you that's breaking down.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why we're here to talk about that and share that side of it, because, you know, it's one thing to talk about it, but then to see it and struggle and go through it and be able to communicate, that is a whole other thing.
Oh, I'm actually curious, not to put you on the spot, but like, how did you feel recording something like that? And how did you even feel being at that big school? Because we walk in there and that auditorium was like huge. Like, it was probably one of the nicer auditoriums we presented in. So how did you feel even during when the kids were walking in?
That's a good question. I felt concerned the same way some of the kids did when they were looking at me walk in, like, what's going on here? You know? But to tell you the truth, I think to see the kids, to see the kids engaged with you the way they did, and then to see the way the school was set up for them to almost succeed, it was really cool to really see that in the high school and to see the mental health so active, and then to see the school push the kids to really take on their interests to heart and try to pursue those interests. Yeah. So I think that was cool from that school perspective. But those moments with you, man, if I didn't have the light, so really quickly, I'll give you guys a breakdown. We're using a cinema camera, and I was backstage, super just black. It was just black. So I had to attach this giant, it's a little light, but it's massive, and I was just shooting it in your face. And honestly, I was like, damn, I think I'm invading his privacy 150%. But at the same time, this is the sort of content that we need and that we need to see, and then we can come here today and we can talk about it, you know? So it's like, it's weird because as I'm like trying to help you with the tours and stuff, I don't want to invade that personal privacy, but as a documentary filmmaker, there are times when I feel like it's necessary. Yeah. You know, and that was one of those times where I was like in and out, and then I was like filming you for super long, but you had your head down and like you were like in your thought process. So I didn't like interact with you, but then you like came over and started interacting. So I was like, okay, it's all right. But it feels good to really be able to get the rawness of it all. Yeah. And I'm happy about that.
Dude, because when I was backstage, I didn't even realize you were there until I was closing my eyes. And I'm not sure if anyone can relate to this, but when you close your eyes and you can like still feel light on you.
A beam of light.
Right. So I'm like, wait, what? Is that God? I opened my eyes and it's just you with the camera. And I was like, oh, snap.
Yeah.
Bro, I forgot about it. And it wasn't like you invading my personal space, because you're right. Like, we're trying to capture a lot of stuff. But like, it was another reminder to me that like, wow, you are here to help me. Like, even this was one thing you did. It was very, very small. I never had a chance to tell you. So I'm gonna tell you on this podcast right now. So my back is turned and I have my headphones on. They're noise canceling headphones, and I can't hear anything outside. I can't hear the students coming in. I can't hear the lady introducing me. And you tapped me on my shoulder and you told me that, hey, Wes, the lady needs your bio. And that small thing, even though it's very very small, it was so helpful for me because you had my back. Like, it was a sign of like, wow, you have my back. I'm not just here alone. Because every single time I've been on stage, even though I love it, one of the things that is the downside of being on stage is being alone. So it was helpful to have that person backstage. But not to get too sentimental on the podcast. So on the second show.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm glad to have your back, though, brother. Yeah, man, that's part of why I'm here.
Yeah, brother. How are you feeling today?
Feeling good.
Yeah, you excited for this?
Yeah, I'm excited for the podcast for sure, man. I think this is going to be a breath of fresh air for everybody involved, everyone who listens, and everyone who watches. So
yeah, man.
I think it's important. And to keep it real, I think it's important to black men talking about it. And I think that's the other thing, not to really bring too much of that into it, but
that's real.
I think, yeah, man, I'm excited.
Yeah, man.
I'm excited for sure.
I think the 12-year-old versions of ourselves would do backflips to hear a conversation like this.
You know, absolutely.
And to see it on YouTube or Instagram and see two black men talking about anxiety and other things we'll cover in this show. But in this episode, I really think we have to highlight the Q&A that we got. The questions from these students.
Correct. The questions were mind-blowing, mind-boggling. I know I said mind-blowing last time, but I'll say mind-boggling this time.
Yes.
I don't think my former self would have had the courage to ask any of these questions. No. Or not. Some of these questions were so like, they came from such a place of trust.
Yeah.
And like, you know, you create that safe place where they feel like they can trust you with these questions, and they can trust the space they're in with these questions. And it's only fair that we talk about those questions here today.
I agree. And for context, these are like 13-year-olds, 13 through 16-year-olds asking these high-level questions. Like, they're not just like, oh, what's your favorite video game? We got some of that.
Yeah,
but they're deep questions.
Yeah. Video game ones are important too, though. You know what I mean? Valid. Trying to know how they can catch you online. You know?
I always say this to any student who asks me. I'm not gonna tell you my Fortnite gamer tag. Don't ask. I'm trash. I want to get better. Maybe one day we should do like a Fortnite tournament.
Yo,
with some of the students. You know,
that would be sick.
Like a private game. That would be
sick.
Just an idea for later.
That would be sick. Yeah, no.
But these questions, I was standing there on stage, and there was like a kid who was off to the side. He was not paying attention the whole time. Mm-hmm. But the moment when it came time for questions and answers, he rose his hand and he said his piece. And his question was so like, bro, how did you just say that in front of 600 kids? Like, how did you just get the confidence to say that? And that is what's so magical about what we're doing. Like, we're creating a safe space for these kids to feel vulnerable and express their vulnerability. You know what I mean? I know we have a list of questions to go through, but.
No, absolutely. That's like, and the other thing about it is when these questions are asked, everybody in the room is listening.
Yeah.
You know, even the teachers, everyone, the phones are away. That was the other thing. We'll talk about that later, but the phones were away this tour. Everyone listened.
Yeah, man. I know why that is, though. Imagine this. You go into a school every single day wearing that fake mask over your face, and you're trying to hide from the world what you really feel inside. I feel like for that 45-minute period or that hour-long period, what we're doing, we're creating that safe space to take that mask off. And when you are hearing someone's story like my story, I'm not up there lecturing to you, but I am speaking about something that you hold in private and you only talk about in private. So it's almost like you can't look away. It's one of those things where you can't look away.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for that experience in a weird way, only because when I was in their shoes, I felt very uncomfortable with the fact of like, wow, when I had a speaker come in and tell a story about his son who died by suicide, I couldn't look away because yes, that's obviously painful, but that's my story. And I do believe that's why when we go to these schools, the students are so enamored by what we're doing because we're describing something that they only experience truthfully in private. And here it is in a public environment, and they're like, whoa, that's me. And they might not raise their hand and be like, whoa, that's me. But their face says it. Not the
Yeah, no.
I love that. I love that. I love that.
It's real though.
Yeah, it's real. It's real. It's real. So let's get into these questions. Let's get into questions. So how I want to play this out, not to put it on the spot, but like, did you want to ask me the questions?
Oh, yeah.
Or you want to like?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Let me ask you some of these questions
Again for the audience. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, for the audience, these are some of the questions that we got on tour. So hopefully some of the students listening, you might hear your own question.
Yeah, you might. You might.
So yeah, but we thought these to be important. So let's talk about. Ooh.
Yeah, pick a random one. Pick a
random one.
A random one. Make it. Like
All right. So a little bit about you. You have some relatives.
Yeah.
You know, and by relatives I mean siblings.
Right.
How has the relationship with your siblings changed since you got help?
Since getting help, you know, I'm the youngest of 3. So I have 2 older siblings, 1 older brother and 1 older sister. And since getting help with my anxiety, it has like inspired them to not only get help of their own, but to talk about it. So a big thing that I always say in family dynamics, we feel like we're the only one going through this situation. We're the only one dealing with depression. And the experiences in a family, it's almost siloed. It's like it's only me. And that's where a lot of that shame comes from. Yet when you are getting help for yourself, you can inspire your family members, like your relatives, or your brothers or sisters or cousins or even parents to get help from themselves. And that's what I saw. I saw once I published my book, I Have Anxiety, So What? Once I started speaking on stages, once I started broadcasting my story on social media, well, my siblings were like, oh, maybe we can talk about this. And it did something cool too. Despite us being like all different ages, my sister is 10 years older than me. My brother is 7 years older than me. We all had different experiences. Like it was all different sides of the same coin. So our parents got divorced when I was 12. My brother was 19 and my sister was 22. So they're all at different points of their life. Like my sister was getting out of college. My brother was like a sophomore, junior in college, and I was a 6th grader. So me being in middle school, my brother being in college, my sister getting out of college, we all had different experiences, different ways that we experienced our parents' divorce. But like when I started opening up about mine, that's when I started to hear about their perspective of our parents' divorce. And honestly, it brought us closer together. And that's one of the things I'm very grateful for when it comes to our relationship now, is the fact that before it was very siloed. Now it's like, oh, that's why and there's this mutual understanding. There's empathy now, and there's not a lot of shame anymore.
That's like what we were talking about in the car.
I know, offline, yeah.
Yeah, man, that's incredible to hear. And I hope to be in that situation too, you know, where I can start talking to some of my family and then we can start that conversation. And then hopefully everything will start to make more sense.
Right.
You know, because at the end of the day, I think it's about understanding each other. And now it seems like your siblings and you understand each other a lot more and understand why things happen the way they did and the actions that happened because of that.
Yeah, man.
So that's awesome.
Yeah, and it's to the point like about understanding each other. When you're not understanding each other, you're judging each other. One thing I don't really talk about openly, but again, this is a safe space. I used to like feel so upset with my older siblings because when I was 12, my parents got divorced. I was home. Like I was home. They were out of the house. And I had some level of resentment towards them. But it was through talking about it with them that I understood that everyone handles pain differently. Everyone goes through their own challenges differently. In fact, everyone's fighting a battle you can't see. And just because I couldn't physically see them, like they weren't in the house, does not mean they were not fighting their own battle, because they were. They were struggling in their own ways. And through understanding that's what brought us closer together. So for a long time, it felt like because I didn't know their story and I felt like they didn't know my story, there was this like distance and this anger that was like in the middle of that. But once we started to like share each other's stories with each other, like that's what really brought us together. So I do hope that for someone listening to this, that you can start to open up, and it doesn't have to be this ginormous thing. It can start small.
So let's kind of touch on that in the therapy aspect.
Yeah.
How many sessions would you recommend a person to determine if their therapist is a right fit or not? And how do you go about finding a therapist?
It's a loaded question. I remember that exact question that when that student asked that question to me. Because I get that question a lot. And the first half of the question, I'm going to go backwards. Like, how do you find a therapist? How do you even know when it's time to see a therapist? I always say everyone should try therapy.
I agree.
Everyone should try therapy.
I absolutely agree.
Like, if we are using the analogy of like a car, right? You got to bring the car to the mechanic. You gotta get it fixed. You gotta get it tuned up. You gotta get it checked out. You would go to a doctor if you had a cold. You go to the doctor if you have a broken bone. Well, if you're feeling anxious or if you're feeling depressed or you're having struggles in your day-to-day life, why not go see a therapist? So let's start there for first and foremost. Like, everyone should try therapy. How do you find a therapist? There's different ways of finding a therapist. One, you can go on psychologytoday.com. Matter of fact, can we actually put up on the screen?
Probably.
Let's use this, actually. Let's utilize this. Because people don't know about this website right here.
Okay.
So psychologytoday.com. This is huge because I have actually never had a chance to talk about this visually. So you go to this website and you can go here and there's all this cool stuff like articles and all that cool stuff. But this part is like, that's the most important part of how you can find a therapist. You can type in your zip code. Let's just use my old one, 02067.
Oh, you can even use your town. You can just type the town in.
Oh, that's true. That is true. That is true. And then you see all these people come up, right? And of course, this is going to be overwhelming to have all these people. But most people don't even know, JB. You can go to this filter thing.
Oh.
And you can filter, bro. There's levels to this, bro. Like, there's levels to this. You can filter by insurance.
That's incredible.
You can filter by types of therapy. Let's stop there, too. People don't even understand that there's different forms of therapy. There was this girl that came up to me at Concord. She was like, what do I do if my therapist, like, I don't like her, I don't trust her, I just don't feel like I'm getting anything from it? And I asked her, I was like, well, maybe it's not just the wrong therapist you have, right? Maybe you don't have a right fit with her, but maybe it's not the right form of therapy. And she was like, what do you mean? There's like different types. Dude, there's like, I can't even count. Look at all these different types of therapy. EMDR that we all know. Like, there's play therapy. There's different types of therapy, bro. And people don't even know about this. So if they're stuck, imagine using a dating analogy, bro. Imagine you go on a date with a white blonde girl. It don't hit. Does that mean all girls are bad? No. You just got the wrong type. I see your face.
I didn't know this existed.
Really?
I didn't know this existed, bro. I personally, and this is not even an advertisement from this.
No, yeah, this is not advertisement at all. No, you're good. You're good. You're good. I can't see.
Yeah, I completely am blown away by the fact that you can look for different types of therapy.
Yeah, man.
And this is something that I'm going to go home, and even though I'm in therapy and I'm in some amazing therapy,
right,
I'm going to go look at this.
Really?
Yeah, because I also saw, I don't want to get into insurances, but I saw my insurance.
Yeah, yeah.
And one of the main things that I personally was having issues with, in part of my situation, trying to find an outpatient program, was I couldn't find anywhere that would filter my insurance. And so I would have to call the individual places, and then they figure out a back and forth conversation about if they took my insurance or not, whereas this sort of thing, I could just boop, 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 filter it out. And that's incredible. So,
dude, man,
this is an incredible thing to see. And I'm glad that this is available today.
And yeah, people don't know about this.
Yeah. And what's the website again?
psychologytoday.com. It's
right.
my secret weapon that I use.
Absolutely. All right.
Dude, this is huge.
Yeah.
And you go by age. You could even go by like what you want from like ethnicity. You can really build your dream therapist.
That's pretty awesome.
So, dude, I always advocate for this.
Yeah.
And they're not a sponsor. They're just, it's not an ad. I just think this is a wonderful resource that most people don't know about.
Absolutely. And you want to pull back up your website?
Of course.
No?
I'm going to go back. Yeah. There it is.
All right. Cool. Yeah, no. Psychology Today.
Yeah.
Okay. So now the second part of the question.
Mm-hmm.
How many sessions?
Yeah. You know, when I think about the amount of sessions it takes to find out if someone's a good fit for you, there's no like universal answer, right? In my experience, it's been 3 to 4 sessions.
Okay.
Because the first session, most people don't know this, the first session technically needs to be free. It's an intake call.
Interesting.
So in your intake call, and I have a whole document I created. It's a free resource that I want to publicize on my website.
Okay.
But on the intake call, it's like a 15 to 30 minute session that's free of charge. Like they're just trying to use that session as like a way to, to
gauge you and understand you a bit better.
Exactly. And then most people think you're supposed to use the intake call to just like have them know like what their health insurance is, if you're going to pay out of pocket or not. But I encourage people, use that 15 minutes. That's your time. Interview them.
Okay.
Bro, they work for you.
Ask them some questions.
Ask them some questions. And there's some questions I have designed for people to use.
I like that.
Yeah, man. So there's that. Dang, I forgot the question.
No, you just answered it.
Yeah.
It was just about how many sessions until you find.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, you answered it. You're good.
Perfect.
You're good.
Awesome.
All right. So, speaking of therapy, from therapy, what's your favorite, or maybe not even from therapy, what's your favorite coping skill?
My favorite coping skill
or
today.
method?
Breathing.
Tell us more.
Breathing is my favorite coping skill because it's something I always have. I don't have to go to a gym. I don't have to go to a therapist's office. I don't have to activate it. I don't have to take it via medicine. It is something that's always with me. And I love breathing because we do it all the time, yet we don't know we're doing it all the time. So like when we are anxious or in a state of panic, that's one of the first things we forget we have. And it feels like we can't breathe. So when I practice intentional breathing, it's bringing your focus to that intentional breath. So I do 5-7-5. There's different variations of it. There's 4-7-8. There's box breathing. I use 5-7-5.
I do 4-4-4.
4-4-4. Everyone has their thing. But I love breathing because it just makes me feel like I can come back to myself, and it helps me remind myself that I'm human, especially when I dissociate.
That's big.
Yeah,
that's big.
How about you? Do you have a favorite one that you use?
Coping?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I guess depends on what I'm coping with. If I'm coping with anxiety or something like that, I'll give myself like a time period to feel it.
I love that. Say more.
Yeah. So basically, on my watch, I'm a little old school. I don't have the Apple Watch. I got just a little G-Shock, but I set a timer on it to. This one is 14 minutes. Usually it's 15 minutes. But I will set the timer and then let it go. And then in that 15 minutes, whatever feelings I'm feeling, whether they be really bad feelings, whether they be really bad feelings of not liking myself, whether they be just panicky, angsty, I give myself that time period to just go through it and feel it and then adjust accordingly, I guess. Give myself time to feel whatever I'm feeling, because a lot of my issue in the past was not dealing with it, kind of just letting it feed up and then ignoring it. And in my case, I made some wrong decisions down, which we'll get into that in another episode. But yeah, so basically I give myself a time to just feel whatever I'm feeling.
Yeah. And it was interesting because on the ride over here, when we were just driving over here and you had a moment like that, I had a chance to witness it, and it inspired me, because how many times, especially as Black men, when we feel intense emotions, whether it's anger, sadness, they tend to kind of prolong. And then when they prolong, you internalize it.
Yeah.
But when you give yourself that kind of deadline, that's pretty cool. I never thought about that before.
Yeah. And I wish I could take credit for that myself, but that's something I've learned, you know, from other people. And that's something that stuck with me.
Yeah.
So I think that I encourage that to everybody. Give yourself 15 minutes.
That's so real.
Yeah. You know,
because like when you feel angry, it feels so big that it doesn't seem like it's going to end.
Yeah.
And when you kind of carries for the whole day, you're left thinking like, I'm a piece of crap, because whether in my case, I tend to damage things. I'll punch something or I'll like, yell, whatever. And for me, that would be so helpful. So thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm add that to my toolbox.
Hey,
for real.
That's what it's about, man.
I need to go watch like yours though.
Can you, real quick, can you tell me what a toolbox is?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's a metaphor for the coping skills, the healthy coping skills you can use on a day-to-day basis to manage your mental health.
And that's something that through repeated therapy you learn.
Yes.
You learn about yourself and what methods work for you.
Yes.
So that's something that anybody out there listening, you can add more than one coping skill, and eventually you'll have a toolbox, and all it takes is little therapy.
Yes.
So just give it a chance.
Give it a chance.
Give it a chance and develop your own toolbox.
100%. Because what might work for you and I might not work for the viewer back at home or the listener listening to this, but it works. And I had to learn in therapy when I was in my intensive outpatient program, it was the difference between an unhealthy coping skill and a healthy coping skill. Dude, I was biting my nails. I was picking my skin. I was watching things I shouldn't watch. I was doing all these different things, and unhealthy coping skills make us feel low. You might feel better for a short term, but then you kind of feel this heaviness to you, and you might feel numb for a bit, but those intense feelings always come back. But a healthy coping skill, it doesn't get better immediately, but it does start to cultivate the spirit of like self-love, self-confidence, compassion, which is so important.
And that kind of leads into my next question, actually. In terms of going off that question, in terms of your inner critic in your head, can you change its personality?
So in my inner critic, for context for those listening and watching, I personify my anxiety as Ace. And how I picture him is like this heavy set black dude with sweatpants and a gold chain. And he has a deep voice, like, get up. You know what I mean? He's very aggressive. I don't change his personality. It seems like that's what I've crafted in my mind, and I say it as a joke, but it's real. It's an intense voice that seems to be just like berating over my life. If you were to ask a psychologist or a therapist, they're probably going to say that inner critic is a culmination of voices of whether your mom was like telling you that you're not enough, whether it was that 4th grade basketball coach or hockey coach that was always on you, whether that was your dad, whether that was a friend on the playground that bullied you. It's as if all of those voices kind of come together to form this dialogue in your mind that you're not enough or that you're a piece of crap. And the work is unlearning all those voices and then relearning a new voice, which could be your voice.
Relearning a new dialogue.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree with you completely.
Yeah, man. It's a journey, though. It's a journey, and it takes time. Takes time.
And yeah, life is almost about that journey too.
Not the destination that I've learned. It's about like really trying to understand, to be grateful where you currently are, and to not internalize the past and over-identify with the past. Because we can do that all the time. The bad is always available. And the bad is always available. We could always sit here and say like, I could pick 5 things right now that I don't like about myself, but really challenge myself to find 6 things that I love about myself.
Okay.
That's the challenge.
Interesting. And then when you're struggling with that, how do you know you're enough? Like what solidifies I'm good?
That's a great question. We always want to go in the state of like, I'm enough versus I'm not enough. And it's very binary. The secret is embracing the middle, embracing that there will be times when you're going to shift over to I'm not enough. There's going to be times when you feel like you're on top of the world. But how can you come back to that toolbox to understand that you are not the past And you are not the future. But where you are currently, like trying to appreciate where you are now, that is where you start to feel you are enough. Because the past, those things could have broke you, but they didn't. The future, you're not even there yet. So don't even worry about that. I mean, that's a lot easier said than done. But right now, you have survived all these things that didn't break you. Here you are. In the future, hey, we can't really predict that right now. But the hardcore thing I always recommend to students is making a list of like 5 things a week that you like about yourself. And that list gets longer over time. And when you think about it,
I see.
You were always enough. Just where you are. Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah, no, that's great.
Thank you. How you feeling?
I'm good. I'm just thinking right now. You know, you can tell I'm over here thinking, but just I don't want to get too deep or too into it. But it's crazy because on Tuesday I had EMDR therapy, which if you don't know what EMDR therapy is, you can honestly, not to be rude, but you're gonna have to look it up because I can't list off what it means right now. But it's a form of trauma therapy where you're retraining your brain using like dots on a screen. And my EMDR therapist brought this idea of radical acceptance. I don't know if you're familiar with radical acceptance, but it's almost exactly what you just described. And yeah, that's a tough thing that you got to work towards, you know, but man, that journey is worth it. You know, and that's the thing sitting here today, I can honestly tell you the journey is worth it. You know, even though it's heavy and you learn things about yourself, but struggling is okay. And learning how to struggle and how to struggle the right way is also okay. You know, and learning that you're okay, not okay right now. It's okay.
It's okay.
You know, it's okay not to be okay. You know, because at the end of the day, you are enough, even if you don't feel like it.
Exactly. And imagine if we heard that when we were younger.
You know?
Like, that's what we do for kids. Like, that what you just said, and what we're teaching on the road is, and what we're doing with this platform is to help students understand that. Because now we are the age that we are, and we're learning this stuff now. But imagine if we learned this 12 years ago, you know, or 13 years ago.
Yeah, definitely.
That's what's mind-boggling to me is like, whoa, like we're taking these learnings and hopefully helping students understand that you don't have to over-identify with the struggle. And there is like this human need we have to want to go back in time to try to like shift things around or hide it because like we're so embarrassed by it or ashamed of it, when in reality you can't. Like you can't change the past. You can change your response to the past. And that response comes from going to therapy consistently, starting to open up that door. You know, I use this analogy, and again, not to like get too deep into my own struggle too, but I relate to what you said. Like in my mind, I picture myself like in this museum of fine arts, right? And there's a long hallway, and there's 2 portraits. On one end, there's a portrait of like me, Katie, our 5 kids, and we're sitting in our living room, and we're like wholesome, like wholesome, HD TV wholesome, you know? And then on the other corner, there's a photo of a boy, and he's naked, and he's crying, and he's on sleeping bags. And that boy is me. And for so long, I hid that photo from everybody. And the work that I'm doing today is to not only that, I would hide that photo, but in some ways I would self-sabotage the other photo. Because the other photo is my potential, you know what I mean? But the other photo, that's like my past. So now I'm like bringing Katie's hand and my therapist's hand, and I'm bringing them back into that photo, into that room. And that's the deep work that people don't really talk about out loud. But it's a journey, and you're right, the journey is worth it. Because for a long time I couldn't talk about that photo. You know, and that's the real Wesley that no one can really see, especially off stage. No one knows about. But slowly, I'm not trying to hide that past. I'm trying to show my loved ones my scars, and I'm seeing that they're still accepting of me. For so long, I thought if I showed that picture, everyone would hate my guts and think of I'm some bad person, you know, ugly. But it's not true. It's not true. That's deep.
That's deep.
That's deep, man.
That's deep, and yeah, man, that's a sign of hope.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
for real, that things can change.
They can.
You know, and I think we should leave that as a takeaway, bro.
Yeah, things can change. That's huge. That's huge.
Things can change if you give them time.
That's true.
You know?
That's really, really true.
Anything, I think we should close there, but is there anything you want to say to the viewers at home if they're...
Well, first I want to say thank y'all for listening to this conversation, because I wasn't expecting it to go this way at all. But I love to end off all of my presentations the same way I'm going to end off this podcast is, yes, things can change. But if anyone who's watching this or listening to this is going through a rough time, I need you to know that someone in the world needs you here. Someone in the world loves you here. And more importantly, like if you are struggling and this podcast has inspired you to want to reach out for help, like there's a number that you can call, you can text, you can message. It's called 988. And that's that number. Before it was 1-800-273-8255. And that number saved my life. But that number, 988, the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, you can actually text that to get help. So I love to share that as a sign of hope.
I love that. And I'm going to even take it a step further there and say if anybody's really struggling, you can reach out to us.
Yeah.
We're here. Know, I'll bring myself into that conversation. Feel free.
Wow.
Reach out to us, man, and we'll help you. For real.
Yeah, we will.
For real.
We will. I love that.
All right.
All right, that's it.
Let's end it there, man.
End it there.
Boom. Yeah. Hey, what was this?
This was I Have Anxiety. Thanks for asking.
This was I Have Anxiety. Thanks for asking, and thanks for watching.